Hello, welcome along, and we are delighted to say that we've got Rio Ferdinand alongside us here for Astro Malaysia. Rio, it's so good to see you. Over the years as a pitchside reporter, I've interviewed you so many times, and I really want to reflect on some of the glory years. I mean, it must be a bit painful sitting next to that.
Yeah, I think it's quite out of order. You've got like blue and white on there.
I know, but nobody expected it to be quite so long, did they? After Sir Alex Ferguson retired, to see United kind of back to winning ways. But just on that, I'm going to take you back to the Champions League final in Moscow. I was there, and it was a funny one because obviously Anelka's miss or Van der Sar's save sealed the win for you. But if he'd scored it, you would have been up next.
Yeah.
So what was running through your mind at that moment?
Complete fear. I have to be honest, yeah. I was as much as I was elated and I was like happy with Edwin, it was a sense of relief was as much that I wasn't going to have to go up and take a penalty because my legs had gone.
Really?
Yeah, my legs were like jelly. I don't even know how I would have even got to the ball because I was just so nervous. And yeah.
And you'd also seen John Terry slip as well.
Yeah.
So I think everything must have just added to that fear. It was a terrible night. Do you remember how much it was raining as well?
Yeah, raining. The conditions were terrible, but it wasn't even about anything like that. All I was just thinking, it was just pressure.
Yeah.
I've never felt pressure like that, and it was just great that Edwin. I'm forever thankful that he just relieved all that pressure for me.
I think it's really nice to hear that from someone so experienced and a legend because, you know, we see players like Saka who've really had the wrath of the fans. No one quite understands just how nerve-wracking it is every second.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to, for all the fans that it's unfortunate you can't, but if you could just go on to a shelf in a shop and go, right, this take a sip of that and you'll feel what that pressure does to your body.
Yeah.
In that particular situation. And so I think fans would be very different in their criticism of players.
Definitely.
Especially on social media, if they really understood exactly how that felt. I think it doesn't even get close to it, but like, you know, when you go as a kid and you go into an exam,
yeah,
there's a lot of pressure as a young person because everyone builds it as like this is like the start of your life. If you get this wrong, life isn't going to be the same. So there's a pressure that's attached to that for most, but it's still not even touching the sides.
Do you have anything that helps you in those moments? I know nowadays we're full of sports scientists and psychologists, but did anyone ever tell you a way to deal with it? I know Gareth Southgate used to try and emulate some of the noise, but it's never going to be the same,
you can't replicate the moment.
Yeah.
But you can prepare yourself for the moment in your best way possible. And I think repetition is the best for me, like doing reps of stuff. Like in a game, like a 5-yard pass in a cup final is different to a 5-yard game in training or in a normal Premier League game. Just is. Because it's a cup final, because it's one game and a short amount of time that you've got to impact that game, and every single mistake could be capitalised upon and means that you might lose the game. So the pressure's high, but you fall back in them moments on reps. I've done this so many times, and if you condition your mind to think like that, then those moments become a little bit more normal in your head.
Yeah. Another great memory, one of my favourite memories of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson's last home game at Old Trafford against Swansea. It was electric. I actually haven't seen a football stadium quite like it since. Perhaps maybe when City won the title after 44 years, maybe when Liverpool won as well. But it was so important because you scored the winner, a late winner, 87th minute. But before that, it looked a little bit cagey. And you can imagine the boss would have hated not to win the game on his final home game.
Yeah, I mean,
what's your memory of that?
The pressure was big in that game as well because, like you said, there's so much riding on it with the history, nostalgia, the manager, his last game at Old Trafford.
And Scholesy, it was his last game as
Scholes's
well.
last game. But you want to give him the best send-off possible, and you want to be a part of that. And Swansea were a difficult team then as well. They used to play a lot of football.
Michu was a star, yeah.
So they were playing a lot of football them times, and it was difficult to play against. But I didn't understand or realise the enormity until after the game in the changing room. Because I remember I scored the goal, we win the game, and you come in, the manager's done his speech, and you walk in here, so it kind of goes a bit flat after moments like that in the change room a little bit. And I remember sitting there, just sitting in my slips actually, just boots and shorts and shirts in the middle, just everyone's getting undressed. And I remember the Rio Vidic who sat next to me said, Rio, do you realise what you've done there? I said, what? He said, the manager's last goal at Old Trafford, you scored it. And I sat there and went, right, that's kind of cool, man. Yeah.
And it was your first goal in 5 years.
In ages, yeah.
Do you think that helped, though? Do you think that was psychologically, you had to do it for the boss in Fergie time?
Yeah, I think things like it couldn't have gone a better way. Fergie time, late goal, and a winner at Old Trafford. I think it's like it couldn't have been written in this. Like it was just crazy, but that would have been the manager's probably like his perfect way of ending it if he could write that.
It was wonderful, and I'm not even a United fan, but just the beauty of football. And it was Vidic, I think it was his pass to you, and you had such an amazing partnership, you two. So special. Do you look around, not just the Premier League, but other leagues, and what's the closest kind of centre-back partnership that you can see? I know that sometimes we do three at the back as well, but what's the
Premier
best?
League?
No, all over Europe.
Well, I think the last one I looked at as a partnership was probably Chiellini and Bonucci at Juventus. Well, I went, you can see why that partnership works and the consistency they had.
Nowadays, it's hard. There seems to be a lot of injuries as well, so you don't get that. You know, when you look at
rotations
sort of
as well. The managers rotate
Madrid,
in the squads and stuff like that quite a lot. I don't see. Even Arsenal, they had a great defensive record before he got injured. Gabriel, and they looked like they were building something. I still think they can, but to compare to that, you need time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not going to be like half a season or one season where you go, that's it. You need to see it over a period of 2 or 3 years and consistently to go, okay, that looks like that could be something that's replicating what we done. But right now, I don't. In the final, the Champions League this year, you can have Inter Milan play three at the back against
PSG. Yeah.
But even that partnership, I don't see it yet. So yeah, at the moment, I don't really see one yet.
Yeah. When you look at that Manchester United team that we were talking about, warriors all over the pitch, a fantastic winning mentality for one another, do you see this Manchester United current squad and think there are perhaps subtle psychological issues within the squad that mean that they can't perform to their best?
No, I think it's glaring. I don't think it's subtle at all. I think it's glaring, and I think some of the reasons why are quite glaring as well. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see. I think it's the thing I've been harping on about. Yeah, I think the new managers come in, and his system and style of football is drastically different to what was before.
Yeah.
The whole shape of everything's got to be checked. So he's got to reboot and kind of reset the whole team in the way that they think. It's not like Slot, for instance, and not discrediting him, but his style of football isn't too dissimilar to Klopp's.
He built upon what Klopp
so
had.
There's not that drastic change and overhaul, whereas that's what Amorim has to do and achieve.
So he needs time, presumably, and he's not really getting that from a lot of the fans.
I think he is. I think he needs time. I think he's got a lot of grace with the fans. Other managers in this situation, I think his head will be being called for. His isn't. I think because he's been transparent in the media and he's communicated really well and openly in the media. That's
Some
allowed
people
him.
Don't like that though. I know a lot do. Like his recent comments about the embarrassing record. Do you like that? Because Fergie, for example, would have kept that kind of thing inside the dressing room, wouldn't he?
I don't think we know because Fergie's never been there with that. So I don't think we know how the manager would have reacted. I think people in the media are saying we don't like that, but I think most fans are like, that's why I read the fans in that if they weren't happy, you'd be getting booed, and I think you'd be getting told to get out of the place. And there'd have been a lot of murmurings around going, he needs to go now. I'm not really hearing that. And I think a lot of that is down to his transparency. We're in a time where most managers they're playing behind the curtain. He's just opened the curtain and said, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going all in on the Europa League. Whether that's a risk, it's a high-risk situation. But he's been brutally honest, and I think it's quite refreshing in a day where people are being very guarded. Yeah. I think that's what's given him the grace. But back to the point about why there's been problems is that he's got a team that is fractured mentally, absolutely on their knees, no confidence. From the past regime as well, a group of players that I think profile-wise, individually, don't fit the way that he wants to play. Yeah. There aren't enough players that are dynamic enough, physically capable of going up and down for 90 minutes, quick enough, aggressive and strong enough. Physicality is a huge part of the way he wants to play, and the profile of player at the squad don't match that. So he needs a window or two, at least, to kind of rectify that and to bring some players in that are going to suit the way he wants to play. That's, I think, when you can start to judge him.
Yeah. I know you said that you don't want to coach for various reasons, including family. It sounds like you'd have such a lot to give psychologically to this team. Have you ever been tempted to step in, even as a consultant type person?
Well, I was there with my olive branch quite a few times at times, and then it just never materialised for different reasons, which I won't go into. But it just never materialised. But there was a point where I would have gone into being somebody, not a coach or a manager, but just to kind of be that kind of different point of contact maybe for some of the players and staff. But listen, it's a club close to my heart. You'd love to be able to go in there and help them find solutions. But this isn't a quick fix. I think that's one of the things I think the fan base and people watching have to understand and appreciate. This isn't going to be. This has been like 12, 13 over years. It is since Sir Alex Ferguson of a decline, and it's been a sharp decline to where we're 17th in the league now and hoping a Europa Cup final 90 minutes will get us into the Champions League. Who would have thought that?
Yeah.
So the fact that there's been a decline over that period of time, I think it would be crazy for us to think that's going to be changed and flipped with one transfer window.
Absolutely. Isn't it strange? I know you've spoken about it in the media before. Even your own kids, they don't quite appreciate what a player you were, first of all, but also how good Manchester United were. That's the sad thing, because youngsters are coming into the game and they're seeing Manchester City and they're seeing Arsenal, they're seeing Liverpool, and they're not putting Manchester United in the same bracket. I mean, how do you get your head around that?
But they can't though. That generation of kids haven't seen Man United successful. Like my younger kids have not seen Man United consistently be up in the top part of the table. They're looking at the table and they don't see Man United in top 4. So it's difficult. I mean, thank God for YouTube. Do you know what I mean? That I can actually show them. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny because I interviewed Ryan Giggs for my podcast the other day. Right? And I made my 2 elder sons, 18 and 16, watch it. So they saw Ryan Giggs when we were playing, but they were too young to really remember and watch properly. And I made them watch the interview, and one of them went to me, "Dad, was he that good? Was he really that good a player?" I said, "Sit down, let's watch this."
Yeah.
When he was young, when he come onto the city, and then gradually when he got, and they were like, "Well, I didn't know he was like that, Dad." So these kids don't know, unless they're shown, or they've got someone who's older in their family who knows and goes, "Listen, sit down and take this in." They're not going to know. That's why their kids are walking around in some of them other shirts.
It's crazy, isn't it? So when you look at this Manchester United squad now, you obviously sounds like you back Amorim. You think they need time. What are the key areas that you would like to see strengthening right now?
I think we need an experienced striker. I think because when you look down the years of strikers that have come into the club and done well, better strikers than we've got now, Wayne Rooney's, the Ruben Amorim's, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when they came to the club, what did they have in front of them? Experience.
Yeah.
People to look at, a reference to go, right, that's what is needed to play at this club at that level, that pick up little pointers from those players, help them through moments where they might be not as confident, not scoring, or things aren't coming off. Rasmus Højlund, the young kid Chido, they don't have that. They're learning on the job with no one to learn from. So no wonder these guys are going to struggle and not look the part. They're young kids who need guidance, and it's not only coaching that can do that. There's some young kids who just go in and just hit the ground running, but they're like superstars. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be an absolute must for me. And any other player they bring in, I think through the spine of the team, you need to bring speed.
Yeah.
Speed and the ability to be physical, because that's an area where we're massively lacking.
It's funny, when you talk about your day of playing and you look at the players now, there's been a huge change, not just in football, but a societal change, the way that kids behave, the way that people expect from their job. But is there anything, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that you sort of wish that they had now that you had, but is there anything from modern football that you like, that you wish that you'd had in your day? I don't know whether it would have been beneficial to have more managers. I guess the money would have been nice as well.
Money, yeah.
But anything else that you think, oh, I'd have liked that in my day?
No, I think just the amount of exposure there is for the game now I think it's so nice to see that you can watch a game anywhere in the world now. You can there's so much more access, seeing behind the curtain. That's what I wanted. When I was a kid growing up, I was loving the likes of Gaza, John Barnes, Paul Ince, etc., Diego Maradona. I'm having to buy a VHS and wait for like until the end of the season before I got a chance to see what they were up to. Maybe. I'd probably just get the goals and an interview. Whereas now you're seeing like what they're doing in their own time, in their downtime, and they're travelling and they're eating and they're training and their extra stuff they're doing.
So
their
they
families.
should be on another level
So
with
yeah,
all
so
that information.
As a consumer, as a fan, that's how I think about. I'd love to have had that when we were growing up.
And it would have been frightening because you're not a sheep. You've always been someone who does your own thing. I know that you did gymnastics at a really high level. You did ballet as well, which really helped. What would you say to young people now? Because I think there is a little bit of that herd mentality, isn't there? Just having the courage to go and do something completely different, and not care what other people say.
Yeah, I think you have to do that. And I think also just with the understanding that doing something else isn't detrimental to what your focus is, which might be football.
Yeah.
Doing something else is only going to enhance it. Like the stuff that you mentioned there that I'd done absolutely played a pivotal part in me becoming a footballer in terms of my balance, poise, durability, being robust.
You can see it on the pitch.
Yeah, like, and it's just those things add. Like I used to play short tennis.
Yeah.
That's footwork, foot patterns. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know at the time, but it is foot patterns, like working side to side, forward and back. Like they're things that I can transfer to football.
I've seen some managers do that in training, not many, but there are some managers who are willing to try different sports.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's at a young age you need to do it. I think you can do it at a late age, but like we all know, like when you're young, you can take in so much more naturally, and just trying other sports and doing other things, I think is always key. And in today's we've got so much at our disposal, much more than we had back in the day. Even watching other athletes work on YouTube, you can see that. I was going down a park with my mate and putting some cones down, hoping I was getting it right. Now you're getting people who are qualified, who are telling you and putting programs on YouTube, and you can go and use it.
So lucky. One of the things I love that you've said in the past is that you don't want to be remembered as the former England captain or the former Manchester United Leeds footballer. You want to be remembered for something that you're doing right now, and I know you've got so many exciting ventures at the moment. What do you think, I know it's still work in progress, but what do you think is going to be the thing for you from what you're doing right now? Do you know?
Don't know.
Because you've got the fashion, you've got the music label, you've got you're a board member, finance, you've got a bit of everything.
I don't know.
Boxing.
It's coming. It's coming. It's there. I've got a lot of stuff in the background just working away, but in the next 5 years, something will be. I don't know what it is yet.
But you just keep doing and see where it lands.
I'm like you said. I'm not fearful of trying different things. I'm not fearful of failure. If something don't work, I don't lose sleep.
Where's that come from? Because not everyone has that.
My mum and dad, when I was younger, always said try stuff. I didn't go to ballet or gymnastics or to little drama class schools and stuff like that because that's just what I wanted to do all the time. It was like my mum and dad were like, go and see what it's like. If you don't like it, don't do it. But I'd go and I'd enjoy it and I'd end up staying. It's fine. What do you lose out of doing that? And I've just carried that into my life really, and I'll do the same with my kids.
Yeah. I could talk to you all day long about this, but I don't think we've got long left, so I have to ask you about the Europa League final. Another all-English final. It feels like these two teams need it so badly for different reasons. Who do you think needs it, wants it, and will perform the best? I mean, your heart and your head are obviously different.
I think, they both need it, like for different reasons, like you say. Man United to get into the Champions League, obviously, but also to have the opportunity to attract players that are going to be fully only wanting, no matter what the badge is, they're going to want Champions League football. So the calibre of player you get, if you get in there, might be a bit better. And it doesn't save the season, doesn't paper over the cracks, but it gives you a positive finish to the season in some respects and something to build on. And Spurs is similar in that sense. But the biggest thing for Spurs is getting that monkey off their back, where people can always dig them with you don't win trophies.
The Spursy tag.
Yeah, being a Spursy, so they can kind of get rid of that and be probably the most successful team in North London for one season, if they do it. But it's who wins. I think it's probably the most difficult one to call. Out of any cup final for the last, I don't know how many years, because you've got two teams that are unconvincing. None of them convinced me in any game they're going to that they're going to win. I didn't have Spurs winning when they went away in the semi-final.
No.
No one knows that team, no disrespect. No, they've got no credentials in Europe, but I still was going at artificial pitch. I think they could struggle. And the same thing with Man United. I would have been happy with a 1-0 defeat in Bilbao for the first leg, and then take them back to Man United and hope Man United and everything that goes with playing at Old Trafford, we get a result, because I'm not convinced by Man United yet. And so to call this final, I think is almost impossible. But I just hope Man United win.
I bet. I might have my final question. We've got the City ribbons here. And this is a question I asked Jose Mourinho when he was Manchester United manager. How long does he think it will take for Manchester United to be consistently, targeting the league title? I know it's hard and you don't know, there's so many different variables, but how many years would you say now? We're still having the conversation.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because I couldn't imagine sitting there after Sir Alex and say, like, we're here and we're not close. I think you have to get minimum two transfer windows absolutely perfect. Probably three. Three windows perfect to go consistently get into the Champions League spots.
Yeah.
And you might need to get four Champions League, four transfer windows perfectly well to be even talking about the Premier League.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect run.
Exactly. So patience, Manchester United fans, patience. Because it's a Malaysian channel and it's going out into Malaysia. Just if you've got any fond memories of Malaysia.
Yeah, I had great memories of Malaysia. Do you know what? I've got to be honest, it's not even football related, it's food.
Oh, yeah.
I just love the food, the cuisine, the people. I always had a great time when I go to Asia, and Malaysia's a definite a continuation of that. And the fandom there is nuts. Like, you go there, the fans are going to come out and support, but also even in the airport, it's just crazy. So I'm looking forward to going back there. Hopefully, I think I might be going to Malaysia, I think, later in the year. So watch this space.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rio. It's been a
problem.
pleasure.
Nice
Cheers.
to meet you. Thank you.
Good
Thanks
to
a lot.
meet you. Cheers.
Cheers.